Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today is another episode of our 100 days of DevOps. We are in day 59. Yes, we are in day 59 of our 100 days of DevOps, and we've been looking at cloud platforms, specifically Microsoft Azure, for the past couple of days, and we've tried our hands on stuffs up until this moment. We've been creating stuffs, we've been deleting stuffs, we've been basically finding our way around the platform, doing things, and then familiarizing ourselves with the platform, right? So we're going to continue with that today. And what we are going to look at today is, remember, yesterday we worked with trying to create resources without using the portal. And I remember on the second or third day of this particular phase, I said there are different ways that we can use to create a resource on Microsoft Azure. You can create from the portal, you can create using CLI, you can create using APIs, and then you can create using templates. So today I'm going to focus on creating resources using ARM templates. So basically, what is an ARM template? ARM basically means Azure Resource Manager. Now we all understand, by now we understand that every resource created on Microsoft Azure is created through the resource manager. So whichever way you try to create the resource, either you're using the portal or the CLI or template, all the requests goes to the resource manager, and it is the resource manager that creates these resources for you. So we have a template in which we can use to create different resources on our Azure. So, and that's what we are going to be playing with today. I'm going to show you different ways of um, creating of writing a resource, an ARM template basically. Yes. So basic an ARM template is written in JSON. Yes, ARM template is written in JSON. And okay, let me not even say too much. So when I go to the portal, um, I want to show you an example of what an ARM template basically looks like. So I'm going to let's say I want to create a virtual machine. Okay, so I need virtual machine. So let's say I want to create a virtual machine, and let's create a Linux virtual machine, and I'll show you what an ARM template looks like and how to like write a template. Let us wait for this to load up. Okay, so I'm just going to give it template, template VM. Let's see if this name has not been picked. Okay, so I'm deploying in the West Europe, no infrastructure, um, Ubuntu server. I'm just going to pick the default. I'm going to pick the defaults, right? So I'm going to use um, I'm going to use password for username and password for this particular demo, and let me use this password. Okay, I think there's an issue with the password. Okay, okay, so we are good to go. And I will leave every other thing as a default. I won't change anything. I just want to show us something. So let's just give it a sec. Let's Azure validate everything that I've um, basically chosen. And okay, so running final validation, and I just want the validation to pass. I'm not going to create this virtual machine. I'm not going to create the virtual machine, but I just want to show you something. I've seen what I'm looking for, but I want the validation to pass first before I show you what I actually want to um, show. So this is taking, okay. So validation passed. Now, before I hit the create button, right? If you go to my left hand side of the screen, you can see where my cursor is, where you see download a template for automation. So I can click on it. When I click on it, it just shows you the template that was used by Azure Resource Manager. It shows you the template that was used to create this particular VM, right? So this is the template that was used to create this particular VM. And you might be looking, this is so long. This is how would you get to write all of this from scratch and all that? Not to worry. The same way we've been doing since we've started, where instead of where we break down complex scripts, complex scripts, and we break it down into smaller chunks and then we write it bit by bit. This is the exact thing we're going to use to write this type of template. So we have 390 lines to create this particular virtual machine. So this is exactly what an AMP template looks like. This is a typical example of AMP template. Let me copy it and go to my VS Code. I think, um, okay. So I'm going to create a file. I'm going to create a file. AMP templates are basically written in JSON format. So whenever you want to write your templates, you have to put it in JSON format. So templates.json. So I'm creating a JSON file and I'm going to paste this, right? So this looks really long and it's looking like you might be seeing it for the first time. You might actually be overwhelmed. That's how can a human being even remember all these things? And you know, good thing is you don't have to remember it. You don't have to like have everything in your head. Azure has made it so nice that you have proper reference documentation to anything you want to, you know, to anything you want to add. So what I'm going to do now is that I'll just clear all of these and then we'll start. I'll show you how to do it from scratch. So we clear it and how do we begin? There are different ways of writing a template. The first way is the one that I just did. Try to create the resource, then download the templates, then copy it and edit it, right? But if you don't really understand how to write the templates from scratch, you might not be able to edit like an already given template. You understand? So it is when you understand, okay, how do you write a template? Then what are the components of a template? What are the expectations that you should have in a template? That is when you're able to now see an already given template and now say, okay, this is what and what and what I can modify to get the desired result that I want. I always say it before you jump into using the CLI, using templates, using Terraform. The first thing you need to know is you need to be able to create that resource on the portal. Yesterday I said it's called ClickUps. So if you don't know what exactly is required for a resource, by clicking through the portal and seeing everything, you will not be able to um, you will not be able to use the CLI effectively. You won't be able to use any other infrastructure as code to automate deployment. So it is best anybody that is trying to make you start using things like ARM template, biceps, um, Terraform, and the likes, and without you going through proper deployment of resources on the portal, that person is not helping you. Is not helping you. Okay, so that said, one of the ways you can create templates is from Azure documentation. So if you go to Google, you can just type um, Azure Azure Resource Azure Resource Manager templates, right? So when you click on it, the first one, template overview. So this is just basically telling you what an AMP template is, and this is on a Just on a simple level, this is how you create a template. I think this template is for storage account. Yes, so this is how you create a template. It's as simple as this. It's just that the more it depends on the resource you want to create. There are some resources that before you create them, you have to create other things. For example, like a virtual machine. Before you can create a virtual machine, you need to create a disk. You need to create a virtual network. You need to create in that virtual network, you need to create a subnet. So if you have not done all of this, if you've not deployed all of this using the portal, you how would you know? Okay, this and this and this and this is what I need to create for virtual machine to work effectively. And that is why it is good to have gone you have to have done your due diligence from the portal before you start trying to automate things. So I can literally just copy this and paste it and we create a storage account, right? That's one way to actually do it. You can go to quick start, sorry, you can go to tutorials, then beginner JSON template, then you can see create first template. So basically, it just gives you step by step for how to create a template. So the first thing you do is to copy this. They've just told you copy this, the schema, the content version, the resource, and then they've told you what to do. You can. This is basically for practice. This is basically for practice. When you want to practice, then you start adding then once you're done, you go to add resource. Then you get to the stage where you can add a resource to it, and then before you know, you can add like a parameter and all of that. So this is one way, and then they've even gone a step further to give snippets of actual templates. What do I mean? If you go to references, you'll see template reference. If I open this in a new tab, let me open this in a new tab, right? So now, whatever resource you want to create, you can just, go and create it. If I scroll down, it's just the same way with the Azure CLI, which we considered in the previous videos, where there is a detailed documentation for all of the commands that you would use to create things using the CLI. So it's the same thing. Azure has really done a fantastic job with their documentation in the sense that even if you're a beginner, the documentation pages alone can literally help you navigate, your ways and you can get things done, right? So if I go to this is virtual machine image. No. Let me go to storage accounts. Let me go to storage. I need storage. Okay, cool. So this is storage. I click on storage accounts. So basically, this is how you create. This would create a storage account. That's in the resource. This will create a storage account, right? But this looks too. It looks from a first look, it can look intimidating, right? But by the time you start working with it from time to time, you get familiarized. Now you don't have to put all of this in your storage account at once. What you need to do is that they've given you the full template. You just pick what you need, and then you keep adding to your template until you've got exactly what you actually need to deploy things correctly. Now there's another way that can help you write all of this faster, and that is what I'm going to show you in this video. That's also what we are going to use to deploy um resources to our portal. So let's go to VS Code. So that what we are going to use for this particular video is VS Code, and we are going to install an extension, right? When you come to your extension, you can type Azure Resource Manager. So now, when you type Azure Resource Manager, this is the official one. This is the second one that is showing now. This is the official one. Now, Azure has deprecated this extension because now they are trying to encourage the use of biceps. Biceps is also another template tool or infrastructure as code tool, as the case may be, that Azure is a newer tool basically compared to ARM template. But regardless of whatever you are doing, anything you write, it is still converted to ARM templates eventually. But I think this particular extension has been um, deprecated. You can see extension is deprecated. Use the bicep extension instead. However, this top one by Sam Hogan, yes, you can install it, right? You can install it. It's similar. It's not the same with the official one from Microsoft, but at least it's similar. I don't know. I don't want to try so many, but I think I installed this one, right, and it works fine. I don't know of this templates, params generator, and all of that. So what we're looking for is Azure Resource Manager snippets, right, by Sam Kogan, right? So for my own end, it's already installed. So um, that's why you're seeing on install. So you can install it. Once you install it, I think you are good to go. Give it a couple of seconds or refresh your VS Code, and then you're good to go. So now, how do we start writing our template? The first thing you want to do is once you have the JSON, you've created a JSON file. You need to create a JSON file for this extension to actually work. If you don't create a JSON file, it's not going to work. And if you don't create a JSON file, you're not writing an ARM template because basically ARM templates are written in JSON format. So you want to write ARM. So once you type ARM, the first option, you click on it. So you can see that there are so many resources that you can create. So the first option, you click on it, and boom, you have your framework already. This is exactly what we have been doing all this while. The first thing we do is we want to define the framework, and then we start putting things into the framework that we have defined. So this alone has helped us define the framework. So what you have now is a schema, content version, parameters, variables, resources, and outputs. So I'm going to explain all of this, and this is like the basic framework for what an ARM template is. This is like the ARM template basic framework. Everything you want to write in your ARM template goes into one of these um how will I call it now? One of these parts of this framework. So starting with the schema basically for in every term or every way you want to try and define schema just defines how your infrastructure should look like, how the template should look like, right? It defines how it should look like and all of that. So that is schema. Content version is of course it's the version we are currently using, which is 1.0.0.0. If there are new version, I believe it will be updated. I don't know if this is the latest version, of this particular schema. Now, parameters. What are parameters? Parameters, I just want to go through everything, but during the course of this video, I'll show you how to actually use all of this. Parameters are basically it gives you options. Whatever you put in your parameter is will be displayed as an option where you can choose from. So instead of hard coding all of these parameters variables, instead of hard coding values in your template, you want to give options. You want to, you want to give more flexibility to your template so that whenever someone else picks your template and say, "Oh, I want to create, I want to create a virtual machine using a template. Do you have a template?" You can just say, "Oh, sure." You send the template to the person. All the person needs to do is probably just edit, maybe just the parameter or the variables, and the person is good to go, right? So now, variables, as its name sounds, are those things that that are repeated during the course of your code or your template. So you don't want to keep if there's something, for example, um, um, maybe resource group name or maybe something that keeps occurring, like it keeps occurring. Say, okay, you want to create a virtual machine. Then you say you have to create a resource group and all of that, and you want the name, maybe choosing the same name, right? So you can put it as a variable and just reference that variable. So whenever someone picks the code, all they need to do is just change the name of the variable, and that change applies throughout the code. I'm sure if you've been following this series from the first day, variable is not something that should be new to you again because we have dealt with variables in so many ways right from the beginning of this series, right? Now, will I say the most? Yes, basically, the most important part of this framework is the resources, because this is where you define exactly what you want to deploy. And if you notice, the resource is in an array format, meaning that you can deploy as many resources as you want using the ARM template. I told you yesterday that um, one of the drawbacks of using the portal is if you're creating just one resource, it's fine to use the portal. But it's in a case where you're told to create maybe 200 VMs, or say five, or just large number of resources, you can't be doing that on the portal. That is where all of these templates, all of these tools have come to play. So this resource category defines exactly what you want to do. Then output is if there's something you want to output, there's maybe like a specific thing. You can, let's say for example now, instead of a generic output for your VM, you might want to output maybe the IP address of the VM, right? So we are going to create a storage account. I won't be creating a VM. I'll show you basically the template structure for a VM. However, because of the length of this video, I won't be creating so many resources. I'll just stick with storage account, and I'll show us different ways of using this template. So now that I've done a rundown through every part of this framework, let's go and start doing this. The first thing you want to do, which is, I mean, it's basically the first thing you want to do is what resource do you want to create? So you want to create a virtual machine, right? You want to create a virtual machine, and we want to create a storage group or a storage account. What am I saying? Want to create a storage account. So the first thing you do this, and then you do ARM. Once you do ARM, it is showing you the list of everything you can actually create. You can create AKS cluster, app insights, container group, Cosmos account. It's just like the list is, on and on and on and on. You understand? So you can do AM. See, I'm in storage to create a storage account. Um, so I can just do ARM, then dash. If I type storage, so you can see storage account to create a storage account. So once I click on it, boom, it gives me everything that I need to define my storage account. So there's no stress. You're not worrying about. So you can see that you don't really have to be like a guru with writing, this template, or with writing JSON. You understand, in JSON format. So this extension really helps us to get things done really, really, really fast, right? So I'm going to um edit the name. This is basically all we need to create a storage account. We're not adding anything. We're not doing any other fancy thing. So, but then I'll show us how to use like some other parameters. So I'm going to change the name of the storage account. I'll change it to let's delete Veteran storage account. So I'm just going to do this, okay, and display name. Um, just do it storage account. I don't want to do too much. Okay, I can accept changes, and the storage account type standard LRS. If you've been creating storage accounts with me since all of this while, you will understand what a storage account type means. There are two types. There are like several types of account type. Let me go to um okay. So I'll click on let me click on storage account. Where are you? Okay, storage account. So from my end, we have no storage account created. So if we click on create, you can see that what it asks us is, I'm waiting for it to load. So their their performance type, there's standard, and then there's premium, then there's redundancy, there's LRS, GRS, ZRS, GZRS. So that is basically what we are trying to define here. So we are creating a standard type and with the LRS, right? So that's basically what this means. And location, API version, and all of that is provided for us. So let me go to the portal and let me go back. So here we can see that there is no storage account. I want to create this in a new resource group. Yeah, so let me just create a resource group. Okay, let's go new terminal. Is it group create? I think I need the name. Um, okay, I need location and I need name. Go. So AZ group creates. Location is -L is West Europe, West Europe, and the name is what should I name it? Template, templates RG. Okay, so I'm creating a new resource group just for this demo in West Europe with the name templates RG. So let me let me run this, and hopefully the name has not been taken. Let's give it a few seconds for it to create. A moment from now, my resource group should be created. Okay, good. So resource group has been created. When I go down to my portal and I click on resource groups, I'm supposed to see the new resource group now. It's not showing yet. Let me refresh. Let me refresh again. Okay, good. So we have the template RG resource group now deployed. So how then do we deploy our templates? There are There are two ways of deploying your template, one using the CLI and one using the portal. So I'm going to show you how to do both with the CLI and with the portal. So we are going to use the CLI first, then before we use the portal. And I think I will need the documentation for this. I need the documentation. I need to Okay, so AZ deployment group creates. That is a command. AZ deployment group creates. And then, so let me clear AZ deployment group creates. Then there are different flags. So I want to, there are two main things you need to, there are two requirements. First is the resource group, and then you can add any other thing. So the first is the resource group that we just created, so that this deployment is deployed on the resource group template RG. And then let me do, I don't want to use that anything else. I need template file. So if you want to reference a file, now we're using a JSON file. So you use hyphen template file. That's what you use, hyphen template file. So let's go back. So we'll do hyphen template file, or I think you can use hyphen F. Think hyphen F, then I'll try it. If it doesn't work, then so the file is template.json, right? So let me save this. I think it's been saved. Okay, virtual storage account one, blah blah blah, and all of that. Okay, so let's run this and let's see. Is there deployment group create? I'm creating the deployment in the template ROG, that's the resource group, and then the file I'm referencing is the template.json. So you have to reference the file, the location of the file. So let's click on enter and let's see what comes out of it. If it doesn't give us, if it doesn't throw any error, so good. It's already in progress and it's running. So if it doesn't throw any errors, that means our resource, our what do you call it, storage account will be created successfully in that resource group. So I think it takes a couple of seconds for it to, or maybe about just a minute or less than a minute for it to actually deploy to that resource group. So let's just hold on. So long we don't run into any errors. So it's already succeeded. So you can see its provisioning state is succeeded. So let's go and check our resource group. So you come to template RG, and I should see my storage account in this resource group with that name. Good. So we have Vetrax storage account. So you can see that we created the resource group using the CLI, and we created a storage account with the combination of the CLI and the AMP template. So this is like on a on a basic level, this is how you use AMP templates to create stuff. So now we've created this resource group using the CLI with the AMP template. And I said there are two ways to use AMP template to deploy stuff. So what is the second way using the portal? So let me delete this. No, let me not delete this. Let me leave it here. What I'll do is that I'll go and edit the name of the resource group. I'll create the same resource group, but using the portal instead. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let me just do 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, right? So now I'm creating, let me save it. So now I'm creating another storage account, but with the name virtual storage virtual storage account 123, right? So now I've saved this. So how do you now deploy a resource using the portal? So when you come to here, you search deploy a custom template. So you search deploy a custom template. Once you click on it, it will take you to a page where you just so now it brings you to this page. So the first thing you do is you select the template. You can have there are common templates as well as already provided common templates that you can just quickly use. Create a Linux virtual machine, create a Windows virtual machine, create a web app, and all of that. So you have quick start templates, which if you click on it, you'll see it will bring a drop down of things that you can actually create. So you can choose whatever you want to do. As a quick start. However, if we want to use our own template, you click on build your own template in the editor. So when you click on it, so it shows you this same thing that we saw on. Remember when we first started, what was given was just these things, and then we built on it. So it's the same thing that this editor will bring. You can see it brought schemas, content, version, parameters, and resources. Basically, these are like the most important things when you're trying to write your template. Okay, so if we won't be using this, so instead of using this, I'm just going to click on load file, right? I'll load file. You can decide to write from here, or you can decide to load file. So when you click on load file, I'm going to go to where I have this and templates. So I have my template.json. When I click on it and I click on open, so everything I wrote there will come back here. So we already have this we already have this now. So once from here you can even see this gives you like an overview of what you're creating. So we have no parameters, we have no variables, but we have one resource, and you can see the resource that's going to be created. Metric storage, one, blah blah blah, and all of that. Okay. Let me change this. 1, 2, 3. Okay, sorry, so that there's consistency. So I'm just going to save. So I'll save, and then it brings you to this. It shows you which resource group do you want to deploy to. I'll click on my template resource group, and it chooses West Europe. And if that's all you need to do, you just review and create. Azure will review the template, and once it passes validation, you can actually create it. So let's create our storage account. It's already initializing deployment, and it's submitting deployment. And in a couple of seconds, our storage account should be created. Okay, so our resource is created. So when I go to my resource group, I should see two storage accounts now. Okay, refresh. Sometimes it takes a while. So now the second storage account is here. So we've created the first storage account using ARM templates, and we deployed through the CLI. And I've also showed you how to deploy an ARM template from the portal, right? So um, let's go back here, and let's say, for example, now remember that when we saw that first template of creating a VM, we saw how, how long the template is. Now I'm going to show you example of that. So let's say we want to create a VM now. I won't be creating this. So when I do ARM ARM hyphen VM. So it's either I can create either a VM DSC, I can create an Ubuntu VM, I can create a Windows virtual machine. So I'm going to I'm going to click on Ubuntu. So once I click on it, this is so you can see now that just creating the VM alone, now we have 144 lines, right? So and this is the way it works. So if you go up, this is the storage account. This is the Ubuntu VM. So you can see from here, what happens from here is I'll run you through it. Now we started our creation from here. The first thing that was created just to create a virtual machine. The first thing that was created was a storage account. And then after that, the public IP address was created. And after that, your VNet was created. And after that, you have your subnet. The subnet was created. And then before the virtual machine itself was now created. And then once you go down, this is the display name and all of that. So you can see all of the things that were created just before the virtual machine. You can even see the OS disk. So it's not rocket science. It's not. You shouldn't be scared of it. So what you just do now is that you go and then you edit the parts you need to edit. Now in this case, instead of going to in this case now, this is where things like the variables and the parameters come into play, right? So I'm just going to Ctrl Z. So with this extension, you can basically create anything. So now I want to use parameters, and I'm going to use variables. So how do you write a parameter? Let's say I want to have other options apart from LRS, right? Standard LRS. So when I create a parameter for it, if I'm creating it, it's supposed to give you options to choose from, but you might not see that on. Okay, before I say anything, let me just create a parameter, and I want to change the access here. Let me just say storage storage account tier. Or let me just say storage account type. So since we are using storage account type here, when I click on it, so now we now have a storage account type here, which is standard LRS. The type is obviously string. The default value is standard LRS, which is on a norms. If you don't pick any other option, it stays as standard LRS as a default. However, you can see allowed values. So what are the other options that actually allowed? So we have values like standard LRS, standard GRS, standard array GRS, premium LRS. If you go to documentation, you will see all of this, and it even have a metadata for it. Now, we've created a parameter. How do we reference that parameter? All you need to do is just come here and um, so just do parameters in parameters. Let me see. Okay, I think I got this wrong. Okay. So you open two brackets as an array, then parameters, you reference the parameter, right? You reference the parameter, and then which particular parameter do you want to reference? By referencing the storage account type. So you can see it here. Parameters in brackets, you have storage account type. That is how you reference the parameter. So now I'm also going to do variable. So let me just make the name, storage account name, a variable. So when I do this storage account name and no, so now we have a variable called storage account name, and then I've written the account name. So I'll come here and then I want to delete this. I want to delete this, and I want to reference this variable. So just the same way we did for parameter, we're going to do the same thing. So it will be variables. So it will be variables and in bracket storage account name. So it is very, very easy to reference parameter and variables in your template. So look at where we started from. We started from basically about 6 to 7 lines, and now we have written about 36 to 37 lines of the template. So that is how you write things. So we've created parameters. I've showed you how to create parameters. We also showed you how to create variable and how to also reference the parameter and variable in your resource column or in your resource array or whatever you want to call it. So in the resource section, so now we're going to create another. Um, Now we have storage account one. We have storage account one, two, three. I want to create storage account one, two, or let me say two, three, four. I want to create a storage account two, three, four. So now all I need to do is the only thing I change now is the variables. I'm not changing anything in the resources because I've already made this name a variable. So I just need to change only the name of the variable, and it applies to every other place that the variable has been referenced in. So on a norms, I would have come to change the name. I'd have also come to change the display name. So but you can see that my VS Code is not even giving me that option to change because everything now is a variable. All I need to do is just change the variable. That's what I said. That if you give somebody this template now, all the person needs to change are just one or two things, and then the change applies to the entire of their templates. So we're going to deploy this using both the should I deploy using the CLI? I've deployed using the CLI. Let me just deploy it using the portal so that I'll show this parameter. Mm, Let me not save it yet. I want to show you something. There was something I wanted to show. Okay, no. Remember, if you followed the video, I believe that you can, if you got here, I will say something that I've said that I did earlier. If you missed it, you can go back. You can go back and then watch that aspect. When we wanted to, when we wanted to, um, I wanted to create the storage account using the portal. The only thing we had was all we had was I think the resource group, and I've forgotten what else was given to us. I think the resource group and one other thing, right? But if I want to deploy this now, you will see that we'll have more options. Let me go to deploy a custom template. So build your own template in the editor, and we want to load file. We're still going to use this template file. Now you can see this is different. We have one parameter, which is the storage account type. We have variable, one variable, which is the storage account name. And then we have a resource, which is the storage account, right? So we want to save. Yes, what we had before was the resource group and the region. But now we are seeing storage account type. That's because we've defined a parameter called storage account type. If I come here, if I come to my template, so you can see the parameter storage account type. So when we come here, you can see it's also storage account type, and it's just saying storage account type. If I click on the drop down, you will see the different storage account types that you can pick from, right? So that is what I wanted to show you. So if you missed that in the last deployment, you can always, to verify or to confirm, you can always, skip back and you watch just to confirm what I have said. And you can just, if you still want to edit your template, you can edit parameters and all of that. Let's see. We've not used visualize before. Let's see if let's see what this does. Just doing this out of curiosity. Okay, nothing too big or nothing too special. So we go back and then we are just going to review and create. So we're going to review and create. And it's something that with time you will be able to get a hand on. You understand? And it's not even going to take you so long because once you understand all of these basic things and you're able to, and you've done a lot of deployments on the portal that's using the ClickUps means, you'll be able to understand what is required to deploy a resource, and then you'll be able to define all of this. And with the extension that I've showed you, though it's not exactly like the one that Microsoft did, but at least it's a good start. It's a good start. And then um, you can also go to a Microsoft documentation. You can see different snippets of templates that you can use, that you can take from, and all of that. So let's go into the template resource group. And when we refresh it, I believe it is supposed to come back. So now we have our third storage account, which is the 234 storage account. So I believe that we've been able to understand how to work with um, templates. We've done CLI yesterday, and we are doing templates today. There's another one which you're going to be introduced to, which is Terraform. Terraform is not platform specific. Now, what I mean by platform specific is these are infrastructure as code tools, which basically defines the way you want a resource to be. Like you just is a declarative format where you just define the way you want the resource or you want your infrastructure to be. And for Azure, we have um we have Azure and templates. We have Bicep, and I think Amazon also has that. AWS also has the one that is specific to them. But there's a tool that can work with. Imagine if you've spent your time, and let's say you're not familiar with AMP templates, you are good with AMP templates. If you're now going to an organization where they don't really work with Azure, they do more with AWS. So now you now have to start learning AWS deployment tool or AWS templating tool. I've forgotten what they call it. Maybe is it Cloud Foundation or something like that. I can't remember. Or Cloud Formation. I can't really remember how what it is called. So now you don't want to limit yourself to just one platform. The goal is to, yes, the goal is to master one platform because obviously the concept is the same across all. But if you still want to go an extra mile in giving yourself the tools to be able to work with multi-platform or multi-cloud platform, that is where tools like Terraform comes into play, tools like Pulumi comes into play, right? So I have after this phase, the next phase is a dedicated phase or a dedicated session for infrastructure as code with Terraform, right? So we're going to now look at the third tool that we can use to deploy these same resources. So if you followed everything I have done, do not forget to delete your resources. Do not forget to delete your resources. Today I got a notification that I have exceeded the budget. Remember the first day what we did was we created an account, and the first thing we did was creating a budget. And the budget I created was $5, right? I created $5, and today I got a mail. We created an action group, and we do it in a way that once it exceeds $5, I get a mail. So I got a mail today saying that I've exceeded $5 from I've incurred a cost of $5 basically. And for me, I'm not using the free account. So this is like I'm literally going to pay with real money. For you, if you're using the free account, well, fine, you're not paying with your real money. But for me, I'm paying with real money. So I really need to be careful with the way I deploy resources. And it is a good thing that right now, as early as now, you should cultivate the habit of deleting any resources that you are not using, right? It's a habit that you have to build right now, because if you don't, when you start working with your real money, because trust me, 30 days is a very short time. Before you know, 30 days is gone. And then now you have to upgrade to the pay as you go, or you can decide not to dependent of if Azure allows you. So, but in the case where you upgrade to the pay as you go, you want to make sure that you don't incur so much cost, right? So I believe you've been able to gain one thing or the other today. You can try out your hands on so many things, use the documentation pages, deploy so many things, deploy a virtual machine, because I didn't do that. You can go ahead to deploy a virtual machine. You can use templates to deploy a VNet, all those things that we've deployed, and then just basically explore and get familiar with using template. So if you've liked what you've watched so far, please do well to like the video so the algorithm can push it out for more people to see the video and then benefit from it. And if you're yet to subscribe to my channel up till now, please do well to subscribe to the channel, as you'll be doing me a huge favor by doing that. But most importantly, for you to benefit so much from this channel, you need to turn on your notification bell so that when new videos are being uploaded, you're going to get it firsthand, and then you can watch the videos and add to your knowledge. So that will be all from me today. We'll look at something else tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of the day. Cheers.